So thank you so much, Kiara, for coming today.
Oh,
I'm
you're
very,
most welcome.
yeah, I'm very excited about interviewing to you. So first of all, could you please introduce yourself, but not like officially, but rather like what kind of child you are, and then how you were born, and then how was your childhood in India, and all that.
Yeah. So I grew up in India. The first few years was in Bombay, in a big city, and then my family moved to South India, eventually into the mountains, uh, in a place called Kodaikanal. So that's where I went to school. It was an international school, and every weekend, whenever I could, I would go out hiking in the wilderness. So that really shaped my life.
Great.
Uh, One experience I had during that time was falling off a waterfalls and surviving. It was about almost 200 feet.
Whoa.
Um, but that really, somehow opened up some questions for me. It's like, what am I
Mm,
doing on this
mm,
planet? Why am I here? And how can I support the greater
mm.
evolution or the greater awakening? Because what I felt at that point was it was time to really um do my own spiritual journey, but more than that, to give back something to
Mhm.
this planet, to humanity.
Gorgeous.
So
But how
then
old were you? How old were
I
you the
was
time?
maybe 15.
15. Oh, 15. So it's a good age. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a time for new
Mm.
beginnings. So
Mm.
deeper explorations
Yeah.
and
Like the age
realization.
of the vision quest. Almost.
Exactly. Yes, I spent, many years going to different monasteries and ashrams and sacred sites and
Mm.
uh, studying many different traditions and scriptures and paths and just, going on a quest for truth. And when I was 20, I ended up in the United States and I did a bachelor's program in peace studies and then later a master's program in transpersonal psychology.
Mm.
But this whole time, I was also very interested in the shamanic traditions, the Native
Mm-hmm.
American
Mm-hmm.
traditions, and
Mm-hmm.
doing vision quests and sweat lodges and understanding, a relationship with the earth as a living being, as a living system.
Yes. Which state you were in America?
Uh, I was in Kansas and then California, Colorado,
Uh-huh. Wow. So which tribe you were together with of the Native Americans?
different tribes in different places. So the Sioux, the Cheyenne, the Shasta tribe, the Kuruk,
Mm.
um, Osage. So just depending on where I
Yes.
was.
Yes. 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 Yeah, then there's all the common sense of all the
Yeah,
nature, the
yeah,
mothers worship
exactly.
and
Yeah. I think the commonalities are more important than the differences
mm-hmm.
because, even all the tribes trace their origins to extraterrestrial lineages. So the
Yeah.
Pleiades or the Syrians or whoever else. But they recognize that they're here to support Mother Earth, to be part of her and be stewards and guardians for the earth. Not, like what we've done in the West is, basically dominate and it's, our greed has taken over.
Yeah. Some
So,
people
into,
say that after the Lemuria,
mm,
foreign, and then the Native Indians, those Americans, they are the carrier, no? Like the old
sure,
knowledge.
yes, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Great.
So they're here to hold the memories and the
Mm-hmm.
traditions of what it means to be a galactic human.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we have forgotten so much, and it's time for us to remember
Mhm.
them.
And then you went to South America, to the Andes, to Peru, and then did you do those investigations?
Yeah, so I spent some time amongst the Inca
Yeah.
and Bolivia, Peru, and so there's also a journey into looking at how to open up doorways between the worlds, the upper world, the middle world, the lower world. Not necessarily using plant substances or
Mhm.
psychedelics,
Mhm.
but just through understanding the energy systems, working with the doorways that exist within our own energy bodies. And
Yes.
this is what I like to teach, because
Yeah.
everybody has access to this, and
Yeah.
it's important.
I think even modern days, the shamans in the Andes, they
Mhm,
also say that, of course, yeah, they can take the plant medicines, but also the guardian of the plants, the
mhm,
guardian, the spirit, we
mhm.
can channel the spirit and then we can have almost the same effect, no? Like the
Yeah, yeah,
receiving the messages and journey, let's say.
yeah. Exactly. Like the plant medicines are there to open up access. But then once that access is open, we need to be able to walk that path ourselves to integrate
Mm,
that. Otherwise, we have split ourselves. We have these extraordinary states of consciousness, experiencing these highs, but not able to
yeah.
access that in our normal daily um, consciousness.
Hmm. In that, like the practice like Qigong, for example, to really move our body and then receive the light from the cosmos and also from the Mother Earth, and then with opening up a channel in our body is, I think,
Mm,
it is a
mm,
preparation to be able to walk in that kind of light
mm.
path.
Yeah, yeah. And it's the same, whether it's the energy system used in Japan, which works with the hara and
Mm.
uh, the
Dantian, yeah.
qigong, dantian,
Mm-hmm.
working with those energies and
Mm.
practices. Or in India, you have the chakras and the yogic practices. In the Native American Inca traditions, you have the Navis and various other practices to access the same energy bodies, slightly different um, formulas, slightly different practices, slightly different names, and even the actual uh, energy centers are slightly different. But
Right.
ultimately, once you recognize how to open them and activate them and balance them and blend the different energy bodies together. So, all these traditions talk about at least five energy bodies and
Mm-hmm.
maybe more. Exactly. And it's like, um, we have become so locked up in our conscious mind
Mm.
that we don't recognize that the conscious mind is only one tiny little aspect of understanding the universe. There's other levels of the mind where we can access other levels of information, other planes and dimensions. And so all these practices help us to understand more of who we are. And once we understand who we are, then we can have an impact on the world. We can be more useful for the earth, for the human race, for uh, creating the new earth.
Yes,
We are
it,
at the
this
brink of a new earth consciousness.
Yeah, this is really exciting. And, I love all these themes. But here in
Mm,
Japan, what I find is that this is really also important that we have our self-confidence and
mm,
then like a self kind of permission to feel what we are feeling and believe what we are feeling. Because many
mm,
people, they start to kind of doubt if what
mm.
they are feeling is correct or not. And that's, I think there's a lack of the self-confidence.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And we
And
have
then
given
what?
power
Mm,
over to our governments, to our teachers, to society, to a mass consciousness,
mm,
which only goes partial, well, goes part way.
yeah,
So when we start taking responsibility for ourselves and our own lives and our own role on this earth, there's so much further
yes,
uh,
yes,
we
yes.
can go.
I think especially like here in Japan, because it's such a, cooperative community, is that
Mm,
many things is more like it depends on if the other people are feeling the same or not, and then they try not to be different from the
yeah,
others
yeah,
here. So many times people have a difficulty to believe in what they are feeling, maybe more
mm,
than the Westerners, and then that is like confusing them, But
Yeah,
once they are really confident in themselves, and then they can believe what they are feeling, that way they can really feel the multidimensional different, way to see our bodies, feel our channels, everything, and then
yeah,
they can explore more.
exactly. Yeah, we are, I think we tend to see ourselves through other people's eyes
Exactly.
rather than trusting our own
Mm-hmm.
uh, knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And as we begin to develop this self confidence, trust our own knowing, our own unique uh, purpose,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
something changes. Then we can be more present for ourselves. We can be more confident within ourselves. We can be more joyful because we're fulfilling something that's uniquely ours. And we can be more useful on this earth.
Yes. And then what we are good at, we
Mm,
don't have to fight to try to do something we are not good at, but rather that we can just commit to see, feel that how we are and just develop what we have. I think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
easier.
exactly. Yeah,
Mm.
we're not trying to follow someone else's agenda,
Yeah.
where the soul can be anchored. So, who we are is the soul. We think we are separate. We think we are separate from each other. We think we are, we see ourselves as fragmented, as somehow limited. But once we connect with soul consciousness, we realize that we're unlimited, that there's nothing that holds us back from being the truth of who we are and the endless possibilities of human existence, which is also divine existence. We came to this earth to be vehicles, to be mirrors for this divine force. And how do we integrate that? How do we access that? How do we achieve this connection? So then we can begin to integrate the spiritual with the psychological aspects of our being. So part of what I would like to do with people is to move into that integration mode through energy practices so that we can open up to a multidimensional self. So there's the physical body, the etheric or prana or chi body. Then we have the emotional body, the mental body, the soul body. And all of this are aspects of who we are as the divine self, the infinite consciousness. And there are very specific and easy techniques to learn how to access that. Then, once we learn how to access that, then we can um, begin to let go of the limited self and begin to integrate this unlimited self. We can begin to let go of our wounds, our traumas, our um, illusions, and begin to understand the truth of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes our vibrational frequency. Once we become more integrated, our vibrational frequency changes. And then we begin to attract events, circumstances, people into our life that are gentle, that are loving, that are powerful, that are beautiful. Um, so it's all, life is always a mirror. The universe outside of us is a mirror of the universe inside of us.
Yep.
So once we recognize that, then we're empowered to, be the fullness of who we are.
Yes. And then, it is much easier to change our frequency with the light body because,
Mm,
the speed is a light speed. So it's much quicker
mm,
compared to our density of this physical body because it's so dense and it is so slow to be changing in a
yeah,
way.
mm,
So I think that your technique, like Irahino,
mm,
what we practiced the other day, is
mm,
that immediately we feel this, like a liquid, like a light
mm,
liquid, golden
mm,
liquid. Then that is really vibrating and we just transform so quickly. And then we already like no need of worriness, no anxiety, but just we are all connected and we feel also like safe. And then
mm,
relax because we know that we are held, no, by the sky, cosmos, and also by the earth. So I think the beautiful thing about this spiritual practice is that we can feel the transformation of our body so quickly. And then this experience is so unforgettable that when clients go back to their daily life, of course, there are some difficulties with people, with everything. But once they know how light they could have been in that practice, in that meditation, and
Mm.
then they don't forget, and so
Mm.
they know their body already know, no, that they can be
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. And it's
Mm.
important for people to have a simple practice that they can do for themselves every single day,
Mhm.
whenever they need. So it's not about, letting or allowing someone else to do the work for you, but you
Yeah.
can learn how to do it yourself. And then you have the capacity, the self-responsibility, and the ability to live as full, as joyful, as beautiful a life, as fulfilling a life, as abundant a life, as purposeful a life
Yes.
as you choose. Because this is what the soul chooses. We are the soul. So it's actually what we are is the soul expressing itself in human personality um, in this given lifetime. And so if we can surrender to that, it's such a joyful thing. Um, and that's our ultimate path of
Yes.
art.
Yes, because so many people have fear, but fear for nothing special, but fear just in general. And I
Yeah.
think the fear comes when we don't have the solution. Something can happen in the future, but if we know what we can do, let's say like how to maintain our energy body and how to do the meditation and all these practical
Mm.
techniques, and then they don't have to worry about because they know that they can solve it later, no? So I
Yeah.
think I'm really with you, that I'm not like we want to give you the healing and you just receive. It's not like that, but they learn how to do it and they can do themselves. And
Mm.
that is more healthy way, I think.
Yeah. And the nice thing about doing these practices is when we get more connected with ourselves or multidimensional within ourselves, then the fears just naturally go away.
Mhm.
There's no need for them because fear comes when we feel separate, when we feel disconnected,
Yeah.
or when we feel that something can affect us that we don't want.
Hmm.
Ultimately, the fear of death is like the fear of loss, the fear of losing someone, or the fear of the unknown. Once we realize that we are the soul, then even that goes away. The soul is
Sure.
eternal. There's no death on that level. What
Yeah.
dies is the physical body. What dies is the limited personality structure. But what remains is the soul personality. What remains is this
Light.
eternal eternity, this light. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
think
that's all of us. And it's not just Japan, it's everywhere.
here.
And much of my research over the last 30 years has been understanding what's going on a planetary level, also on a solar and galactic level. So nothing is separate from anything. And there are cycles of evolution. So there are galactic waves that come in every 12,000 years. This changes things on the sun. This changes things on within the earth, within the magnetic fields of the earth. That changes things within our um, emotional, mental, and physical bodies, and that evokes new cycles of evolution. So it's been 12,000 years now since the last time that this galactic wave came through. And many people remember that still as when Atlantis sank and when civilizations were destroyed. So that possibility does exist. And actually, it's more like a memory of that possibility that still exists. But we have moved on. We have moved into a different frequency of consciousness. So we're not likely to experience devastation and cataclysm like we did last time. We have the option of creating a completely new timeline which is a higher frequency where we can actually move into what's what many people refer to as the new earth consciousness or as the age of light. And
Mhm.
all this can happen very quickly. It can happen within our lifetimes. It doesn't take, hundreds of years. All this is happening right now. We can actually feel the change in the frequency of light coming through. It's affecting us. The first thing that happens when this light comes through, if you're resisting it in any way, is we experience trauma or we experience fear, um, anxiety. And this is certainly happening for people. But then, as we understand what this energy is about, as we learn to integrate this and understand this, then uh, our own body frequency, our mental frequency, and our emotional frequency also changes. And then we can ride this big wave and become much more multidimensional, much more joyful, much more peaceful, uh, much more in unity consciousness with all things. And I think it's really important for people to understand that um, it's not about someone else telling you
Yeah.
something about yourself. It's about learning how to understand for yourself who you are, what your path is, why you're here, how you can contribute to society in a bigger way, how you can contribute to Mother Earth in a better way.
Yes.
Because that's what we came to this earth for. We didn't just come to, live a life where you know, we are born, we work, we get married, we have children, we die. It's really about we are called here, we chose to come, we volunteered to come to
Mm,
participate in something much bigger. It's like we have the front row seats to the big evolutionary changes taking place in our generation. And knowing that, it's such an exciting thing to be on this earth, to understand why we're here and to participate, to be part of the co-evolution of this earth.
yeah, this is really epic time. That's why we are here on the planet Earth. It's really amazing, isn't it?
Oh
Yeah.
God,
Yeah,
such an
the
exciting
moment.
time. Yeah.
It's really great. Yes.
Mm,
All the light from the source, everything is like the golden light. We referred many, many times. And
mm.
then when you talk about the Irahino, is it so different energy? I mean, you said that it's beyond the time and space and it's really coming from the ancient origin. But is it like really like something so different?
Well, it keeps changing as we change. So as we evolve energetically and even biologically, our ability to hold this light becomes stronger. So, because we are at this point now where we're getting ready for a big change, so now this higher frequency of light becomes available. So it's not like uh, we talk about the divine consciousness. There's no higher or lower within divine consciousness, but our ability to hold this light uh, changes depending on our own evolution and our growth and our receptivity, our willingness, our ability to confront and face and heal the shadows. So there is a light from beyond time and space. Um, we can call it the universal light. We can call it primordial consciousness. This light is entering deeper now because we're getting ready to enter into an age of light. So as this comes in beyond the veils of time and space, it enters through all the dimensions of creation. It enters into our human dimensions. It enters into the Mother Earth herself and transforms the frequency of the Earth grids. So, Earth is vibrating at a certain frequency. That is changing now. And as that changes, the Schumann resonances are changing, the magnetic fields are changing, the our ability to access invisible worlds is getting stronger. There's realities that are becoming visible now that were not visible before, and all this is in response to this universal light that's coming in. So that's partly what Ilahi Nur represents. And in response to this cosmic light, which we call Ilahi Nur, there's also a light that emerges from the earth itself. We call it Gaia Nur. Gaia is a word for the great Earth Mother. And so there's always movement in both directions. When there's a movement of light from above, there's a response from below. When there's electrical forces coming down, there's magnetic forces moving back up. And this is how creation works. So what we are doing is our bodies are responding to the electrical and the magnetic forces so that we can create a bridge between the different dimensions, between the different levels of our being, the five bodies becoming more multidimensional. So we can, for many people, it's a journey to not just experience their personal self, but also their planetary self, their solar self, the galactic self, the universal self, the self that's in capital letters, the Satchitananda, as the Vedic Hindus call it, being, consciousness, and bliss, the primordial self. So this is a journey, and we don't get there in 1 hour or one day, but it's a process. There's a map, um, and anybody can follow this map. Anybody can learn how to access these energies if the hearts are open, if there's a willingness, um, and if there's a commitment. Then it's for all of us.
Yeah. So this is what they say, no? The ascension today is that the ascension of our physical body. It's not only the conscious.
Exactly. Yes.
Mm,
Yes.
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Physical bodies are changing. The vibrational frequencies are changing, which means at a certain time when we evolve, as we continue to evolve to the next uh, age and the next human species, we will be able to move our bodies around just like that. We don't need vehicles to transport. We don't need airplanes to fly. We don't need food to nourish our bodies. We can nourish our bodies from prana. We can travel by simply intending to be someplace, and our physical body follows. So these are things, yeah, we can heat ourselves, we can cool ourselves, we don't need electrical power, we don't need outside um, power. It's all from within. And that's what the next human species will be learning to do.
Gorgeous. In India, are there already some yogis like that?
Yes, there are. Yeah, yeah. They don't normally, advertise themselves. Um,
No, but they exist already, no? People who
yeah,
are just with eating
sure.
prana and all this. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I've met some of them. I know it's possible through direct experience. So yeah, this it's not unusual. It'll become more and
Mm,
more common. And especially with some of the new children. Some of these new children coming in are already holding those
mm,
frequencies,
mm,
those light
mm.
frequencies.
Yeah. Can I ask you something about the Aurobindo, Shri Aurobindo, who was him, and then how was his work?
Yeah. So when I speak about the supramental light, which is Ilahi Nur, Sri Aurobindo and his spiritual partner was known as the mother. She was a French lady, Mira Alfassa. So they together were creating this map of consciousness where they could access the highest potentials of light from what they call the supramental consciousness and bring it through different layers of the mind, different layers of consciousness. So there's a map, coming down from the supramental to the overmental to the intuitive level of the mind to the illumined mind to the higher mind and then into the thinking rational mind, um, so that we create a bridge for these highest frequencies. And what they also spoke about is that humanity today is a transitional species. They spoke about the movement from the animal human, where primary focus was on instinct, to the human human, where our primary focus becomes the mind, rational thought. And then the divine human, where the primary focus becomes the soul and the power of the soul and the ability to merge the soul with the human personality and with the human body. And then, even beyond that, they refer to the Gnostic human or the supramental human, where we can actually, uh, as ascended beings, travel across time, across space, across dimensions. So this is what there's been galactic species that knew how to do this. Um, there's legends, mythologies in our own history which talk about this. But our current root race, our current species, has forgotten for a
Mm.
purpose, because we needed to focus on the rational mind for, as a transition. But now, what they say is that uh, it's time. Um, the next human species is emerging, what they refer to as the Homo luminous, or the sun-eyed children of a marvelous dawn. One of my books is called Homo luminous, so it
Mhm.
goes into what this new species will look like. Another of my books is called Gaia luminous, so it's like seeing how this manifests on a planetary level. What will be the what will the new Earth look like? Very different from this current uh, planet. In some ways very similar, but in some ways very different. So it's an exploration. And we are co creators, we are the midwives, we are participating in this creation. So it's not something that just happens outside of us and we get to observe, but we are part of this process, this journey.
Mhm.
And that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. So all your workshop is all about like a we are coming community, no? To create the new
Mhm.
earth as a co-creator, let's say.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the work of Sri Aurobindo and the mother is very, pivotal. They held a certain frequency where they saw this happening, and then they were able to create a map which anyone
Mhm.
can follow. So that's what is referred to as integral yoga. That's that particular
Integral yoga is called.
standing. Yeah.
Oh, that's the vision. It's a big vision, but it's really great.
Oh God, it's such an amazing vision.
Yeah. If
Sure.
you
So
feel
I would
uh,
say anyone who's on a journey of awakening, especially if you're experiencing difficulties on some level, if you're having energetic blockages or emotional blockages or fears coming up or questions coming up, it's like, what am I here for? What am I? If you're dealing with a lot of pain in your life, all these things are doorways. It's like the soul speaking to you and saying, okay, time to remember, time to wake up. So we can have sessions where you learn to trust yourself, remember who you are, so you can use what seems to be adversities and transform them into something beautiful. Great.
thank you so
Great.
much, Kiara. Thank you.
Thank you, Aiko. This is such a joy to
Uh,
work with you. Thank you for doing this.
yeah, it's such a deep conversation. This is really like my favorite theme. So it's really like it's always so nice to really have a conversation with you. And it's really great. Thank you so much for giving
Uh,
me this time.
sure, sure. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you so much. Thank you.